Right, we're at Bank Holiday Monday. By the time you're watching this, I'll probably be over, so I hope you had a good one. And let's do a front garden tour, because I ain't done one since spring really. So let's have a quick look at what we've got. Phoenix rupicola, doing okay. Chucked out a few fronds this year. Quite a nice member of the Phoenix family. This is obviously an old frond. I did cut some of the brown tips off. We've got the white bird of paradise, doing okay out here. So we've got a small border here, which is literally just stuff full of red hot pokers, which have been going for the last month. So they're sort of on their way out now. But in front of that we've got some agaves, cacti, that sort of thing, stuff in pots just that, you know, for out the front, that need too much watering, other than the red banana, which has got a drip tray, so I just fill that up once or twice a week and that's fine. We've got Phoenix canariensis, so it's in these planters. I don't intend to pot these on. They will stay forever in these pots, so that'll sort of effectively be kept dwarf, just for the fact that you're not ever going to get the root ball out of that without damaging it too much. So they'll just be kept as small palms in pots. That's not a problem. We'll see how they do. They seem to be doing all right. They've knocked out, I don't know, fourth, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it's worked on his fourth. Camerops humilis, okay in the pot there. That's a good potted palm. They're quite dwarf. That is a fairly decent sized pot, so they do okay. That's mirrored exactly the same on the other side with the Phoenix and the Camerops. So by the front door we've got standard olive tree and a couple of small cordyline there, and various other stuff in pots. Yeah, Yucca jewel, that's out all winter in a pot. It's absolutely fine. It is under the overhang slightly and it's tucked up to the house, so it benefits from a little bit of winter protection in that sense. We've got Phoenix robellini, the double trunk, quite slow to get going, but starting to put on, I guess one of them's sort of 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches, and the other one's probably only about 4 or 5 inches. But yeah, they always chuck out loads of fronds. We have got a dead bird of paradise flower here. I was hoping I was going to get seeds off it, but there's no seeds in there, so I'll cut that off. That's your standard bird of paradise there. Czechicarpus Wagnerus, obviously not a problem, doing quite well. Chucked out loads of new fronds this year. So looking down the border here, things ain't done too bad. The cannas aren't as tall as last year, and the bananas ain't really putting on any height, other than they've chucked out a few leaves. They've done okay, but I mean, it is just how dry it's been. So we've got plenty of canna flowers which are still going. They'll keep flowering to the last frosts. Got some small palms in here, so again another Camerops humilis, which is obviously totally hardy. Sonera ribbons, it's alive. I wouldn't say it's thriving, but that has pushed out some new fronds this year. From there's 5 growth points on that actually, and they're all growing, so it's going to be a slow burner, that one. And we have got the Trifanex composterous. The main part, I think after I planted it, seemed to pushed itself out the ground, so the roots have sort of been exposed. I guess they're like that over winter, so that even though it didn't spear pull, it's still rock solid. It hasn't shown any sign of growth on that particular part, but there are 2 more growth points on that which have been pushing out, so we'll see how that one does. Yucca recurvifolia, one of the hardest yuccas. So last year I put this as in one plant which I transferred from the back garden, and it has flowered last year, and this year it's gone a bit mad and gone multi-trunk, so there's probably about 5 or 6 heads growing off of that, plus some suckers coming off it as well. So that's done really well. Small Voodoo Lily there. So the Nanoops Palm, which is one of the hardiest palms in the world. Obviously it prefers a dry winter environment rather than a wet one we get in the UK, but that seems to be okay. It's obviously got a bit of spotting on some of the leaves. Nice silvery blue leaves nonetheless, and that has been, I think this is a new one this year, and it's pushing out another one, and there are a few growth points on that, so we'll see how that does. That's sort of a shrubby palm. We've got some Fuekiums dotted about that I got from seedlings earlier this year, which I just stuck in various places to see how they'd take. We've got small tree fern, which is doing fine. I do come out and water that most nights. Little experiment, I have put in a little Phoenix dactylifera, so that's the edible date palm, one I grew from seed a few years back, so I'll put that in the ground now, so we'll see how that does. I've got one out the back which has survived winter, last 2 winters no problem, so we'll see. That is in a raised bed where this one is in ground, so we'll see how that one does over winter. Moving along here, we've got nice Euphorbia. It's starting to yellow some of the leaves. I think it's just down to dryness again. A lot of things have been struggling. Yucca rostrata seems to be doing okay. It's a really sort of blue form, and that's obviously fine with a bit of a drought. Just to remind you that here on the east coast we have really had no rain for the last 3 months. We've literally had we had one downpour which lasted about half an hour, and then we had last week we had a little drizzle for about half an hour, and that is it. So the ground really is really dry. What we got here, this is a little gem Magnolia, which has struggled again with the dryness. It has dropped a few leaves, but I'm sure over winter it gets a bit of moisture, that'll be fine. So at the front of this border here we've got a little sable dwarf Palmetto there, sable minor, don't know what type. Really slow for me. We don't really get I mean, even in the heat and temperatures we've been getting, it's still really slow. Got a small Phoenix there, just a Canary Island date palm. Another Yucca jewel and some Washingtonia robusta there at the back and here, which have all gone through the last 2 winters no problem. Probably would benefit from more moisture, but that's the repeat of this year. Just so dry. Got a really small Canna Cleopatra there, which is flowering, but it's half the size of the ones out the back because they get a lot more water again. Hydrangea is starting to go over now. It did look nice for about a month, so I've missed the boat on that one. Salvia hot lips, that's been flowering all summer, that's done alright. It's starting to slow down a little bit now. I think even that's feeling the strain. Obviously they are quite drought tolerant, but yeah, even drought tolerant plants are struggling. We've got a load of sort of dwarf cannas sort of lined up along the front of the border here, and then we've got Brookmans here, which is a fairly small plant, but you can see it's chucking out loads of flowers on that. They're sort of creamy white, not really the colour I'd choose, but that's just what it came out as. Got Platts Black Formium there, it's done quite well, it went in this year. So these cord lines have struggled a little bit, they went in at the beginning of the year. So we've got a superstar here, really nice thick leaves, glossy leaves on that. Could do with tidying up the bottom leaves where they've died off a bit. And then we've got the Salsa, which is like a nice purple, pinky purple leaf, quite nice, seems to have taken quite well. And come around here, got another Camerops humilis and another Washingtonia robusta, absolutely fine through winter, that one, no problem. It's got a little bit of shelter from the small wall there, because we do get the wind sort of coming in from the front here, so that does help to have that little bit of protection. Brown turkey fig, doing quite well. This is one I grew from a seed a few years back, sort of accidental grown from seed, got mixed up with some coleus and then realised it weren't when it started trunking. Some more red hot pokers there, and we've got a little Czechicarpus Wagnerus, nice stiff leaves on that, starting to get a little bit bigger now, getting some size on the leaves. So that is the borders at the front, which aren't looking too bad considering how hot and dry it's been. And we've got the transplanted Agave Americanus. This one is quite big, you can see that transplant no problem whatsoever. You know, they're quite easy, you can take a lot of roots off them and they still seem to survive no problem. They're real tough plants, them ones. We've got the Bootia in the centre raised bed, Herodorata, which is doing okay. I think I haven't really been watering this enough, beans in a raised bed. Obviously that does drain through real quick, so I need to water this more, because a couple of the fronds on the new spears starting to look a bit yellowy. So, but no, that's a reasonable sized trunk on that. I have been struggling with this one actually. You might be able to see at the bottom here with scale. I think when I bought it, it had scale, and that's never really gone away. I've been spraying it now and then, but I was hoping the winter might have sorted them out, but they're still there. So that's something to look into and get rid of. Another nice Yucca there, quite a nice variegated one. The Agave Tenuwata is looking quite good. Really nice soft leaves on these. And yeah, I've got a couple of small pups coming off the bottom there, which I think next year what I might do is cut the main trunk off and then replant that, because these, you don't need any roots with these. You just cut the stem off and stick it back in soil, and that'll pretty much carry on growing as usual. So that's what I'm going to do, and hopefully we'll get them pups with the main root ball will really take off. But it's a bit late in the year to do that, so we'll do that next year. And then lastly, the insect Morellii is red banana is struggling. Yes, again, being in a raised bed, that tends to dry out pretty quick. I do water this nearly every day with along with the tree fern, but not really suitable for a raised planter like this. So when I take this out at the end of the summer, I will probably put, I've got a Brahea armata Mexican blue palm in a pot, which could do with repotting, so I might just stick that straight in there. They're pretty hardy and should do okay in a raised planter out the front here year round. That'll stay there. Right, so that is what the front garden is looking like. Nothing amazing, but everything survived the dry. Right, leave it at that. Thanks for watching.